Good.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of my virtual TV show. I am Dr. Jill Zambon, and today I am joined by a special guest, Miss Kelly Thompson. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
Absolutely. My name is Kelly Thompson, and I am a messaging and visibility coach. I basically help women accumulate and acquire wealth through virtual events and packaging and offer using the existing skills that they currently have.
I love that. How long have you been in this type of work?
Funny enough, I started this business when my oldest daughter got engaged. So I started kind of dabbling in business like years and years ago, probably back in 2000, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6. I was starting blogging because that was kind of a big thing back then. Everyone was blogging and they were monetizing their blogs and all the things, right? And so I kind of got into it then. And then I just got busy and sidetracked. And we decided to go down to one income and we started homeschooling our children and life, right? Anyone relate to what I'm saying? Life, right? And so in that kind of doing my thing in the back of my head, I always knew that I wanted to still have my own business. I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I knew that I was kind of created to help people. And that's what I wanted. It was something that I felt from my heart. So fast forward a few years, after just kind of heads down, doing the thing, homeschooling our kids, our oldest daughter gets engaged. And I was like, wait, come again? Wait, what? They leave? They grow up and they move out? Like, what? You know what I mean? It was kind of a shocker, not a shocker. Like, obviously you want your kids to grow up and be productive and kind of do their own thing. But at the time, it was really just kind of a reality check for me to really start thinking like, all right, Kelly, what do you want to do? What is your plan on this earth? Like, why do you feel like you're meant to be here? So with that, I kind of picked up blogging again. I just started with what I already knew. And I tell my clients to like, just take imperfect action. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but I just started, right? Just keep it moving. So I decided to go back to blogging. That kind of morphed into copywriting. Copywriting was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I've always loved writing. And it was something I really, really enjoyed. But there was a problem, and it's probably a problem that you all can relate, anyone that's listening to this. I couldn't get a consistent influx of clients. It was just a constant sort of battle to get clients. And to be honest, unfortunately, God's still working on me, but I'm impatient. And I was like, I want this yesterday. I want now. And so I started doing some research to really just kind of figure out like, how are people getting clients? Like, what do you need to do? So I started doing some research on social media, because that's where we go, right? Social media. I started looking and I was like, all right, what are people doing to get clients? And I looked at all the gurus that started telling me, well, you need to show up more, right? That's the thing. You need to make sure you're showing up. You need to be online. And so that's what I did. And I started showing up and I started posting content 3-5 times a day. I was doing reels. I was recording reels on the weekends. And that was back when, like now it's not as much like the lip syncing and the pointing and stuff. It's like now that's not as big a thing. Now it's more like organic content or original content that Instagram, the algorithm is pointing you to.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's what I would do. And honestly, I was burnt out. I was completely burned out. I was like, you know what? Forget this. I'm kind of done. I don't know what else I'm supposed to be doing. Around that time, I got invited to speak. And I wasn't selling anything at this event that I was asked to speak at. I was just speaking. But while I was there, it kind of dawned on me like, people have been doing this to sell their products and services for years before social media became a thing, right? Like there were workshops and there were, conventions and, all kinds of different things that people would have at a live event that, they still do, obviously. But that kind of was a light bulb moment for me to really start thinking like of other ways to market my services to the masses, to get visible. And so that's when I kind of realized that there was a real need to help kind of people understand that social media isn't the only way to get clients, and at that point, that was kind of a light bulb for me. So that kind of took me down this whole rabbit trail where I was just kind of doing some research and learning from the people that were kind of doing this for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And then I finally pulled the trigger and got some mentorship and spent thousands and thousands of dollars on mentorship. And since that time, I really kind of came up with a system that really works for women to be able to get clients without living their lives on social media. Because for me, I have 4 kids. one obviously is married now, but I have 4 kids. And that was a lot for me to be on social media 24/7 trying to post content. Like I just simply didn't have the time. So it was really out of necessity that I was like, I wanted to keep doing this business, but I have to find another way because this is not going to work for me, you know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So when women come to you, their main struggles are they probably feel like they're on that hamster wheel, because I've been there too. And when I first got started, I remember being so overwhelmed with social media. I'm like, how am I ever going to get the hang of this? I didn't know how to do a reel, a video, and you're editing and you're adding music and words. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, I mean, since then I've learned, because I'm a single mom. So like I would love to travel to speaking conferences and do this stuff, but it's very difficult as a single mom to make that work. So I am kind of the other end. I had to figure out how to make social media work for me.
Yeah.
But
And 100%. Yeah. I'm definitely not saying that it can't work, because there are plenty of people that are online that are a testament to the fact that it can work. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Just being consistent. And, you and I talked a little bit before, just being consistent and showing up. It absolutely can work. But to build an audience, the clients that come to me are just kind of frustrated because they've been posting content, and it's just going a little bit too slowly for them. And they want results kind of yesterday, or they've been posting the wrong kinds of content and not getting the traction that they want, or they hate social media. Like I had one lady tell me, like, I think social media is from the devil. Like I can't stand
I agree.
it,
I know. It's true.
So
I agree with her.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of different ways to market your business. Like I'm not saying that this is the only way, but for me as a busy mom of 4 that needed to find another way, and for clients that I end up working with, creating a virtual event is what I teach, and it just works better for people,
Okay. Yeah, I love that. So someone would come to you, they're a little frustrated with their social media. They're like, I got to try something else. Virtual events are great because I'm guessing you help them get in front of a much larger audience.
Absolutely. Right? Well, the process that I created really comes down to 4 pretty simple steps, right? The first thing that I always tell people is you need to get your messaging together, right? Like if your messaging isn't right, like you need to know who you're targeting. Like in my program, one of the things we do is talk about the 4 questions: who you help, how you help, the problem you solve, and what makes your service special, right? So that kind of leads you down the right path to create messaging that really resonates with the group that you're trying to target, right? So that's the very first thing. I know when I first started, I was a little bit all over the place. There was kind of this mountain of opportunity, right? Like you have so many different things that you can do, thankfully, right? You have options, but that kind of mountain of opportunity, it's kind of hard to kind of pick something and stick with it. So like for me, I would put something out there and then I'd not be 100% sure that this was the right thing, you know what I mean? And kind of be uncertain. And that uncertainty shows up in your messaging. So the first thing would be magnetizing your message, just making sure that you are talking to the right people. And once you're clear on your position, the second step that I found that a lot of people have is finding the right people, finding the clients they want to work with, right? You can post on social media, that's great, but a lot of times people use social media the wrong way. They're focusing on how many followers can I get? How many likes can I get on this post? How much engagement can I get? And all those sorts of things, which are great, but followers don't necessarily equal buyers. You know what I'm saying? Right? Like just because they're following you doesn't mean they're buying.
That's right. And that's so true. I'll do a post that'll get 5 likes, right? And I'll monetize on that post because even though it only has 5 likes, people will message me. The right people. I had a reel go viral back in, I don't know, like December, maybe, like millions of people, 0 sales.
0 sales. Yep.
So I think it's what you just said is so important that people need to understand, like, don't chase the virality. That it literally doesn't equate to dollars. In fact, I even believe that as far as like influencers, right? So you can go on Instagram, you can see people have hundreds of thousands of followers. And when I first started what I do now, that's who I went to because I assumed they would have the money for services.
Right. They
They
were making
don't.
money. They don't.
So
No.
it's all like a smoke
Yeah.
show. And so I'm really glad you brought that up because it's a
100%.
good point.
Yeah, it's very true. And, there's a well-known influencer. She has, I don't even remember, like into the millions of followers. And she
Mhm.
tried to start like, I think it was like a t-shirt line or something. And the manufacturer said you needed to get, let's say, I think it was a really low number, let's say maybe 20 or so t-shirts that you have to sell in order for us to continue this line. She could not sell the 20 t-shirts with her millions of followers, right? That shows you, one, how important messaging is, but then two, your followers don't equal buyers. And so that connection is not there. And the way that social media is set up, it's very much has an addictive quality to it, that you post something and you're just kind of hoping and waiting. Did somebody like it? Did they share it? You know what I mean? So it's designed that way for a reason, to kind of keep you on the platform, right?
Yeah.
So just kind of, for me, psychologically too, it just wasn't working for me, right? So the first thing we do, like I said, is kind of lock in on that messaging and not worry so much about the people that are liking or following your account, but really getting the right people, just like you said, right? Like I've sold my program when I've only had one person in my virtual room, right? Because it's the right people, not necessarily a lot of people, right?
That's right.
So then the second step we focus on rather, is visibility. And I teach you how to get in front of the right people, the right audience that is really going to value what you offer and want to pay a premium price for it, right?
Yep.
So there was one lady that I was working with that really struggled with creating an offer that she thought would resonate with other people. And here's the thing, what we do so many times is we undervalue our knowledge, and we are looking at it from, I don't know if this is worth it for me. But really, when you think about it, like, how can you put a price on somebody losing 30 pounds? Like, that's not for you to decide how much that's worth, right? That's for someone else to decide, or being a better parent to their kid, right? Like if you're a coach in any of those areas, like you don't decide. Your opinion of what your offer is worth does not mean that that's what someone else would value.
Right.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we really focus on like getting visible in front of the right people, because that's really the thing that really matters. And then the third step is packaging. You want to package your offer in a way that articulates the value of the service that you provide, because you don't get paid based on the offer that you have. I can have the most amazing offer in the world, but if I'm not articulating in a way that someone can understand how this is going to help me or transform my life, then it's not really going to matter, right? So really being able to package that offer into something super amazing for that person and being able to articulate that, right? So how many people have amazing offers? I mean, there's so many people in the world that have these offers where you're like, would just blow your mind, but they're not articulating it properly. It's not showing up well, so that people aren't buying it. And we are very much a world that's focused on form rather than function, right?
Yeah.
So it's not because your offer isn't amazing, it's because you're not able to share it in a way that really resonates. And then the last step that we focus on is a system. So once you get everything working and you have your offer and you know how to create a virtual event that really presents your offer in the best light to get people that are your ideal client willing and ready to pay a premium price for it, then we systematize that, right? The goal is to work less and make more money. So with a virtual event, you learn how to do that, and you learn how to kind of put that whole thing on autopilot if you want to. So the system.
I was just going to ask, do you have like, I'm glad we're talking about this because I have some ideas for virtual events that I want to do, because something I want to do is start getting my face in front of a larger audience, because I can go around and I can post in Facebook groups and all this stuff, but I really want to start getting in front of a larger audience. And so just last night I was like, okay, is there a system that's better for, like webinars, right? So I got this email, I had signed up for a free webinar, Tony Robbins, I think. And so they send you the reminder, they send you, hey, it's time to join. And then if you don't join, they send a thing, hey, I'm sorry you missed our webinar, right? And so I'm like, there has to be systems that will do that for me where I'm not having to set it all up. So do you have, like, from a technology perspective, are you able to make recommendations for your clients about the best systems to use too?
Absolutely. And there's a ton
Okay.
of them. There are so
That's
many
what I
of those
figured.
systems, so many. What I use is called Kartra, and that includes
Okay.
everything. You're able to create landing pages in there. You're able to do the emails that send out automatically. But there are just also just email, standalone email providers that'll just send out emails, like ConvertKit is a really good one. There's a lot of ways to automate that I don't feel like a lot of the people that come in to work with me don't necessarily or haven't really utilized that would make their life so much simpler. Like something as simple as a auto reminder sequence of, hey, you signed up for this, make sure you show up, right? Because
Yeah.
we're all busy, right? Like how many emails do you have in your inbox just for today, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those reminders can be very, very helpful. And otherwise, like look at it this way, like sometimes I sign up for things and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to do this. This sounds really, really good. And whether it's a challenge or maybe if it's just creating an appointment with someone or whatever, and then I forget all about it. I
Mhm.
forget doctor's appointments. You know what I mean? Like if it
Oh
wasn't for
yeah.
the fact that I put it in my calendar, you know what I mean? So
Same.
these autoresponder things are really, really good. And just putting systems in place, because there are so many systems that really you can put in place that send out automatically like a contract to your client, that sends out an email reminder for them to show up to their one-to-one session if that's what you're doing, or to
Yeah.
be able to let them know that you have a group session scheduled for that day. There's so many different things that you can use to kind of automate and put those systems in place. So it cuts down on the amount of time that you're, spending on your business. And you're able to just kind of work in your business. Really, like my greatest joy, honestly, is to be able to work with my clients, not the tech stuff.
Mhm.
I have a tech background, right? Like I
Yeah.
built my website from scratch. That's one of the things that I can do. But I don't enjoy that as much as being able to work with my clients and doing the things that could really transform and change their lives. Like that's the fun part. So as much as possible, I try and get my clients to automate everything.
Mhm.
Anything you can do, automate it as much as possible so that you can spend the time doing the thing, focusing in on your zone of genius is what I call it
Yeah.
from a book that I read, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Do you help write Facebook ads too? Is that one of the ways that you promote these events?
There are a few different ways. So there's two different tracks, right? One of the ways is paid traffic, right? That's
Mhm.
probably the fastest way, but it also is maybe the one that's a little bit more tricky to manage because
Yeah.
it does require an investment of cost, right? And then the other way, obviously, is organic traffic, right? Now I don't teach posting or anything like that. What I do teach is utilizing someone else's audience, right?
Mm,
It takes forever to build an audience.
that's
Like it
right.
is a long, long time. I remember when I first started on social media and I hated social media. That was not something I was a part of at all. From the beginning, I didn't like it, right?
Yeah.
But I remember when I started, I had, of course, zero followers. I think maybe my mom followed me. Hi, mom. You know what I mean? But I remember it took so long to get from 0 to 50 to 100 to
Yeah.
200 to 3. I mean, it just takes such a long time. You could go old and gray before you get an audience big enough.
Yeah.
And then of those people that are following me, how many of those people are my ideal clients? Like some of them are probably selling crypto or Forex or Bitcoin or whatever, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So they're not necessarily even my target audience. So it's just a lot to just try and get those people in that way. So instead, what I focus on is encouraging people to be able to look at people that are in your niche maybe, or even a little bit outside your niche, and doing partnerships with them, collaborating with them to create an offer, or maybe just to create an event, or maybe they could just help you promote your event, whatever it is, but
Mm,
utilizing other people's audiences. If you look on like on TV shows, when movies premiere, where do you see all the actors? What are they doing? They're like on every show
that's
imaginable,
right.
right? Talking about this new movie and being interviewed all over the place, right? And that's what
Mhm.
people do. I remember speaking to Tony Robbins, someone had said, I read it somewhere where Tony Robbins, in the span of like 2 weeks or something, had something like 150 interviews that he did to promote his book,
Yeah.
right? So he wasn't focusing on just his audience. Yeah, you want to steadily kind of try and increase your audience. That's fine, but that's not the fastest way. That's not the fastest path to the cash, is what I always
Yeah.
say, right? You
Yeah.
want to optimize and leverage other people's audiences. So that's the
Mm.
two different ways that you can do it.
Yep, absolutely. I love that. Um, okay. Do you have some favorite like client stories or case studies that come to mind?
Yeah, I think my absolute favorite story is a nurse practitioner that I had that I was working with. And she had an amazing offer. Like this offer was like a life-changing, world-shaking offer that could really help someone physically get over some challenges and trials that they were going through, right?
Yeah.
And so we worked together to kind of put together an offer. And, I was like, all right, here's, the parameters, let's talk about it. And she comes back and she's got this crazy offer. And I'm like, okay, what's your price point? And she gave me some price point that I was like, what? Like it was so low.
Mm.
It was so low. And I think as women too, we do that so much that we underestimate our value
Yeah.
and underestimate the knowledge that we have. It doesn't have to be where, we are so far ahead of the person we're trying to help, right?
That's right.
We look at it like, well, I'm not really that far down on the journey or whatever. It doesn't have to be. You are a lot of times in a much better situation to help someone when you're only a few steps ahead of them than like the guru on the mountain, as I say, right? Like,
100%. Yep.
you know what I mean? So that was kind of something that really, really struck me. And it's just very indicative of the mentality that we as women have. And we have to kind of fight through that, because one of the ways for you to be successful in this world is in your business is you have to own your knowledge. Like
Yeah.
before someone else will believe that you are that girl, you have to believe that you are that girl. You
Yeah.
have to be confident. You have to know your stuff in a way that, like, I know I have something to offer and I know I can help someone. Period, point blank, end of story. Now, what that looks like in terms of what you actually do is secondary to the mindset stuff, the stuff that you've got to get out of your own head. And I don't know if this is valuable for someone else, or I don't know, or imposter syndrome, right? Like when you're thinking, I think I know, oh, maybe I don't know, maybe I'm not that good, or being intimidated by someone else's journey, right? We all
Yeah.
have our own journey to go through. So being confident in the fact that the stuff that is happening, that has happened in your life and what's gone on with you can help someone else, which is one of the reasons I love your story, Jill, too. Like you turned lemons into lemonade, like you came in and you're like, yeah, this is my story now. I'm a single parent. All right, what am I going to do? I'm not going to just be like, do nothing. I'm going to figure this out. And that is just, it's so inspiring. And it's so important as a woman to recognize that you have power.
Yeah.
And that power can be used to help other people. And that power can be used to show your children, like my kids watch me. They watch what I'm doing, right? They see, okay, all right, mom decided she wanted to start this business. At first, they're like, what are you doing? Like, why can't I talk to you 24/7 now, right? Like, what are you doing? But in the end, I want my kids to know, like, you can do anything you put your mind to. And if you are committed to doing it, and if something that you feel called to do, you can absolutely 100% make it happen. And that's the goal, right? That's the goal. That's what we want to do. That's what we all want to do. Inspire
That's
our
right.
kids, that next generation, and inspire women that are, in this journey with us, that have the same struggles or the same trials that we do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Love that. All right. Let's see. I don't have any other questions, but is there anything else that you want to share about yourself or your business before we end it?
Yeah, I can definitely share. Like I said, when I started my business, it was one of the triggers, I would say, is because our oldest daughter got engaged. And that really was a wake-up call for me. So I would say that anyone, if you were on the fence about starting your business or growing your business, because a lot of times we even kind of start and then we're settling with kind of mediocrity,
Yeah.
right? When you could be so much more, like it can be so much more and so much bigger. It's almost, someone said it to me, it's almost selfish. If you have something and you're like, well, I don't want it to get too big. I won't do a whole lot. When you think about it, if you really have something that can help someone, why aren't you like going all in, full out? I'm going to help as many people as possible, right?
Yeah.
And just knowing that your time on this earth left a legacy. It really made an impact. And that's my goal, to really make an impact on the people who hear my voice or whatever. And if what I'm saying doesn't resonate with you, that is not a problem. That is totally cool. Find someone whose voice you do resonate with. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. There's different people and different journeys all over the world. So find someone that can help you get to wherever it is that you want to go. And that's kind of my parting message.
perfect. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been great.
Absolutely. I do have a masterclass. Oh, I forgot this part. So I
Oh,
do
yes,
have a
please.
masterclass, yeah, that I'll be doing shortly. If you are interested in that, go ahead and I guess you'll drop a link on the
Yep.
bottom underneath
Mhm.
this. Okay. So you can
Correct.
just check the link underneath. You can also follow me on Instagram at Kelly Thompson and Co. You can send me a direct message if you're interested in anything that I've talked about, or if you just have a question. I love talking to people. So if you even have a question, at Kelly Thompson and Co. I'm also on Facebook with the same, but I'm not as active on Facebook. So I'm
Okay.
not going to lie. If you message me on Facebook, I may or may not see it. So get me on Instagram. And that's probably the best way to get in touch with me.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you. I'll just have you hold on the line and I'll stop the recording. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you.